When we say island, we think of beautiful beaches, palm trees, sun, and sand. But not all islands are so beautiful and welcoming. Some are teeming with incredibly dangerous and deadly snakes. Others have militant natives waiting for tourists, and the soil of others is soaked with radiation and dangerous bacteria. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll show you the most dangerous islands on the planet. Let's go! Ilha da Queimada Grande. Brazil is known worldwide for its dangerous places. Even some areas of Brazilian cities are not recommended for tourists, let alone Ilha da Queimada Grande. This island is also known as Snake Island. The island is located in the Atlantic Ocean, 35 kilometers from the Brazilian coast and south of Sao Paulo. In fact, its name says it all, and does it literally. No one lives on this island except snakes. And it's not just nasty grass snakes or boa constrictors. The island is teeming with real monsters. Bothrops insularis. They're some of the most venomous snakes on the planet, which can even compete with black mambas and king cobras. The fact is that over many years of living in complete isolation on a remote island, these snakes have developed incredibly deadly venom, which improves and becomes more and more fatal with each successive generation of reptiles. With this venom, Bothrops insularis are able to kill any creature, including humans. For this reason, Ilha da Queimada Grande is considered the most dangerous island in the world. Access to tourists is strictly forbidden. Even the waters of the island are considered dangerous. Fishing and diving are not allowed. North Sentinel Island. This island is located in the Bay of Bengal near India, and tourists are forbidden to enter this island as strictly and categorically as Ilha da Queimada Grande. That's because North Sentinel Island is teeming with ruthless aborigines. Even though it's 2022, there's still a place in the world inhabited by primitive tribes, and North Sentinel Island is one of them. The Sentinelese are not very fond of technology and visitors, so they generously shower each of them with a hail of arrows. They can even aim at helicopters circling the island. If a boat docks on the island, the Sentinelese run ashore and start screaming and aiming at the people on the boat. And don't think that bows and arrows are obsolete stuff that can't hurt a modern person. A bow in the hands of the Sentinelese is as good as a machine gun in the hands of a modern soldier. To step on the land of North Sentinel Island is like signing your own death warrant. John Allen Chow, the American missionary who tried to make contact with the Aborigines and convert them to Christianity, proved this by example because in return he received an arrow in his body. In an effort to protect the rest of the people, the Indian government forbade any landings on the island, as well as approaching several kilometers to the island. The Aborigines themselves like it on the island, but lest they suddenly break out into the outside world and that no one intrudes the island, the waters of North Sentinel Island are considered patrolled by the military. Ramri is another spooky island located in Asia. It's located in Myanmar, which used to be called Burma. You might not find venomous snakes or a bunch of crazy aborigines with spears and arrows here, but you will come across a couple of crocodiles, or even a couple hundred. Ramri Island is associated with the famous Battle of World War II, when the Japanese and British fought over this piece of land. The battle was of little strategic importance, but went down in history because of its conclusion. When the Japanese lost, they began retreating through the swamps, which was a fatal mistake. The swamps of Ramri Island were teeming with saltwater crocodiles, the largest reptiles and land predators on the planet. Of the 1,000 Japanese soldiers who entered the swamps of Ramri Island, only about 20 survived. The Guinness Book of World Records recognizes this crocodile attack as the worst crocodile-related disaster in the world, and the highest number of fatalities in a crocodile attack. To this day, Ramri Island is still not the best island to visit. There are still a lot of toothy reptiles here. A few months after that terrible night on Ramri Island, World War II ended, and a few months later the world began actively testing nuclear weapons. Bikini Atoll, part of the Marshall Islands, may not look bad, but it was one of the most dangerous coral islands in the world. As you may have guessed, nuclear weapons were tested here. But do you know on what scale they were tested? On an island of only 6 square kilometers, they conducted 67 nuclear tests in 12 years. The USA bombed the atoll and its surroundings from 1946 to 1958, analyzing their success in the nuclear field. As a result, now this paradise atoll is not much safer than Pripyat or Chernobyl. The vegetation and water on Bikini Atoll are still poisoned by radiation, so it's definitely not worth to taste it. By the way, everyone remembers that in the SpongeBob SquarePants animated TV series, the action takes place in Bikini Bottom, right? According to the plot, this place is actually under Bikini Atoll with all of its nuclear past. Now you can look at the adventures of the yellow sponge and his friends in a new way. Inuitak Atoll. The Marshall Islands include another insecure place. Inuitak is also an atoll. It shares a similar fate to Bikini Atoll. After the end of World War II, the natives were forcibly removed from the coral atoll, and it was used for nuclear testing. From 1948 to 1958, approximately 43 nuclear weapons tests were conducted on Inuitak Atoll. When the tests ended, people were returned to the atoll, and the Runit Drome sarcophagus was erected on Inuitak Atoll to contain the radioactive waste. Although local residents were assured that the atoll is safe, at first it was clearly not so. The main contamination was eliminated only by 1980, but experts believe that even now Inuitak Atoll is not the safest place in the Pacific. Moreover, in their opinion, the sediments in the lagoons are even more contaminated than the radioactive waste inside the Runit Drome. Grunard Island. Grunard Island has a similar fate to Bikini and Inuitak Atolls. No nuclear warheads were detonated here, but the island is still highly contaminated and dangerous. In the last century, biological weapons were tested on this island near Scotland. In particular, anthrax was actively tested here. Sheep were brought to the island, after which pathogen bombs were dropped on Grunard Island. All the experimental animals unfortunately died, but the scientists succeeded. They successfully confirmed the effectiveness of biological weapons and conducted important tests. Well, they also infected not only the sheep, but the entire island as a whole. By the end of the last century, the desolate island was deemed safe. The scientists assured that all traces of anthrax had evaporated in a few years of no tests, but they were wrong. Archaeologists who landed on the island found anthrax spores in the soil, which meant that there's still a threat of contracting the deadly disease on the territory. According to some experts, Grunard Island will be infected for several hundred years, as it's physically impossible to destroy the remains of anthrax on its territory. Although there's no officially recorded case of infection so far, Grunard Island is still a potentially dangerous place. But this does not particularly stop tourists. They sometimes visit the place. Vojvodina Island, or Rebirth Island, is not only the most dangerous island on the territory of the Commonwealth of Independent States, but also one of the most dangerous islands on the planet. It was located in the Aral Sea, but because it's dried up, it's now more of a peninsula than an island. Rebirth Island has long been home to a biochemical testing facility. There was a secret Soviet biochemical laboratory on the island. Its staff lived in the closed city of Aralsk 7. According to various reports, tests and experiments with anthrax, plague, smallpox, and other dangerous pathogens were conducted on the island. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the laboratory was dismantled, the test site was closed, and the island was abandoned. But it still harbors its dark past. Scientists who revisit Rebirth Island after the laboratory was closed said that spores of dangerous pathogens still remain in the soil. Many of the containers left there were not properly destroyed or sealed, so several leaks have occurred over the past decades. By the 21st century, many of the sites have been decontaminated after that, but the place still scares people away because it's essentially a contaminated ghost island. Miyakajima. If you go to Miyakajima, you'll easily encounter several hundred people. It's possible that all of them will be wearing masks. Not the medical masks you're wearing now because of the pandemic, but iron masks and gas masks. This is not some kind of masquerade or joke. The locals of this Japanese island really have to wear such protection because they live on one of the most dangerous islands in the world. In the center of Miyakajima is an active volcano, Oyama. The last time it erupted violently in 2000, the eruption was so destructive that the volcano itself shrank by tens of meters. Eruptions are still going on, but they're much less destructive. And yet they are dangerous. So when the warning siren sounds at Miyakajima, all 2,500 locals grab their gas masks and other respiratory protection, put them on, and don't take them off until the atmosphere returns to normal. Amazingly, tourists still visit this dangerous place, and the authorities were able to capitalize on the natural disaster. Gas masks for tourists can now be found in local stores and ferry stations. Tourists can also take sightseeing tours of the now abandoned areas. That's all, guys. Which island would you like to go to? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.